time is not what you think. And after this video, you will never see it in the same way again. And to explain why time isn't what you think, I will use the way the ancient Greeks used to describe time. They had two different words to indicate time, Chronos and Kairos. And they even had two gods representing each kind of time. And later, I'll show you what this means. Basically, in our modern world, we only see time as Kronos. But we have lost this other way of looking at time, which is Kairos, the right moment that touches eternity. Let's start. And if you don't know me, I'm 𝗙𝗟𝗪, I study psychobiology, and I coach people on how to enter a flow state like this. So let's start with Kronos. And actually here there is nothing new. Kronos is just the way we think time in our modern age. Basically it's just the clock ticking, a straight line that goes from the past to the future. And the key difference between Kronos and Kairos is that Kronos measures change, meaning it is quantitative. It only cares about quantity and not quality. And later we'll come back on that. Kronos is vital. Without it, society would collapse. You would have no schedules, no calendars, no organization whatsoever, no way to measure stuff. But here is the dark side about Kronos, the traditional way to look at time. The ancient Greeks personified both Kronos and Kairos, meaning they had gods named after these two types of time. And the way they imagined the god Kronos was a god devouring his own children. This is the dark side that people don't notice about time. Time gives birth to everything, but at the same time it eats everything it creates. So the thing is not to avoid Kronos, because without Kronos, life collapses. You can't achieve, because you can't schedule, you can't organize your life. Without time, there is no productivity, and without productivity, there is no achievement. But at the same time, when you have too much Kronos in your own life, meaning when you don't know the concept of Kairos, which we will see later, you lose track of the bigger goal of the scheduling part itself. Because ask yourself, why are you actually scheduling everything? Why are you organizing your life? Why are you pursuing productivity in itself? It's because you want to achieve, of course, but achieving is just an instrument to feel better about yourself. You're just looking for a different mental state to be in. And if you only worship Kronos, it will eat you alive, just like the Greek god Kronos ate alive his own children. This is scary, bro. Now let's talk about Kairos. Kairos is not about minutes or hours. It has nothing to do with the usual way in which we see time. It's not a line, because it is not quantitative, it's qualitative. Meaning you are not measuring change, you're not measuring a specific amount of time, but you're measuring the quality of each moment you live. The best way to define it is the right moment to do something, the moment when everything aligns and doing something becomes much more meaningful. The moment when you meet someone's eyes and you know you will never forget them. The moment when possibility becomes reality. And Kairos is the only way to touch eternity, just for a brief moment. Now I'll give you a couple of examples that will make you understand what's the point of having Kairos and Kronos. But before I do so, let me tell you how the Greeks used to describe the god Kairos, the god representing this kind of time. The god Kairos had long hair on the front of his head, but he was bald in the back. Why is it so? Because you can catch him only head on, only when he's in front of you. But if you let him go, if you let him surpass you, on the back of his head he doesn't have hair, so you can't grab it. This is so good. This is such a good way to represent it, because Kairos is the moment that runs away if you don't take advantage of it. Whenever you see opportunity in front of you, you gotta make the best of it. Otherwise, you lose it. Kairos runs away even more than Kronos does. So let's do the examples. For example, in conversations. When you are talking with someone, often you don't say the wrong things in themselves. You just say them in the wrong moment. And this is the difference between Kronos and Kairos. Not every moment is equal. If you think in terms of Kairos, because you're not measuring minutes, you're measuring the quality of each second. So if you say something in a specific moment, it's not the same as saying it in a different moment. It will have incredibly different consequences on the interaction itself and more generally on your whole life. So this is the meaning of Kairos, taking advantage of each moment with its unique qualities. Another cool example is when talking about creativity. For most people, not every moment is equal in terms of creating power. If you learn to notice the times in a day when you are more creative, more prone to creating itself, you create more and higher quality stuff. And this is the point, taking advantage of a tiny opportunity in time. Another way to think about Kairos is the right moment or an opportunity. And the last example is for selling. If you are trying to sell something to someone, you have to know when it's the right moment to actually pitch what you're selling. Because if you've ever tried selling something to someone, you will know that pitching in the beginning of the interaction is very rude and it won't get the effect you're trying to achieve, which is selling. On the other hand, if you just talk like a human being and you wait for the Kairos moment, for the right opportunity to actually pitch, you won't lose the sale and you will have success. So this was just a couple of examples, but this goes literally for everything. There's a right moment for everything. And that's the reason why the Greeks had two distinct words for talking about time. Not every moment is equal, but at the same time, you have to measure time. And if you wanna think about this in a more graphic way, as we said, Kronos is a straight line that goes from the past to the future, meaning it is measuring quantity. And the question that Kronos is actually asking is, how much time is left? So if, for example, you are here in time, you are asking yourself, how much time is left in order for you to do something? But when you think in terms of Kairos, if you are here, you ask yourself, is this the right time to do something? And what you're doing here is that if you have a Kairos moment, meaning you have opportunity in front of you and you actually catch it, you catch this opportunity, what happens is you touch eternity. And why is it so? Because a Kairos moment is fuller. It's literally a moment when it makes more sense to do something. And here you're not measuring time on quantity anymore. You are measuring it in terms of quality. And the quality of a moment is what makes the moment fuller and worth remembering. So the memory and the moment itself is the closest you can get as a human being to eternity. Because in the end, the only way we can touch eternity, we can fight Kronos, which keeps, eating us alive, is having Kairos moments. Moments when we're living fully, because we are catching the opportunity that life is giving us in that specific moment. So now, how do you actually have more Kairos moments in your own life? 3 easy ways. The first one is introducing blank space in your life. So the best way to think about this is you need to have both Kronos and Kairos in your life. But the best way to do so is being very rigid and dividing your life in very rigid ways of looking at time itself. So you have Kronos moments, which means moments when you're actually measuring time and you're measuring your productivity, your efficiency. So this means if you have to do something at work, you will use Kronos as the lens through which you look at time. You are measuring efficiency, you are measuring the time you spend doing something. But then, after each productive Kronos moment, You introduce blank space, which is the moment when Kairos can emerge. Meaning in between Kronos moments, which is deep work, which is when you're trying to enter a flow state, to be completely focused on something, you let blank space in your life. And this creates opportunities. And opportunities are Kairos moments, the moments when you can catch the opportunity in front of you. But if you don't have blank space in your life, you will never be able to even notice opportunities themselves. The second way, which is very related to this one, is mastering your focus. Because it doesn't matter if you have blank spaces. If your mind is completely distracted all the time, even if you have blank spaces in your days, you won't be able to notice opportunities in front of you. So if you're this one and opportunities are random things going in front of your eyes, this is an opportunity. Then you also have to consider the other random stuff you see every day. So to catch an opportunity, you have to ignore all the rest. And this kind of mental labor, which should be easy, nowadays is becoming a lot harder because most people are distracted. And this is what I do as well with this brand, with this whole project that I have, FlowWolf. I help people reclaim their focus, the focus that they have lost scrolling on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and so on. So if you're interested in actually improving your focus, just comment the word flow down below in the comments, and I'll send you more details on my coaching program. So you need blank space in order for you to spot opportunities. But to spot opportunities, you need focus. But to actually be able to catch opportunities, you need to be focused. You need to eliminate distractions and choose what is the right opportunity. And the third way I recommend to people to actually have more Kairos moments in their lives is to trust your instinct more than the clock. So what this means is simply, you only use the clock and the Kronos way of looking at time when you're measuring your productivity, when you need an exact specific outcome to happen in an exact moment. This is when clocks and clock thinking are helpful. But in all the other cases, your instinct has a lot more value. The best way to spot opportunities is to trust your own gut. Because when you are trying to catch an opportunity, you're not measuring the quantity of time, as we said, but you're measuring the quality of time. In the end, Kronos without Kairos is mechanical, but Kairos without Kronos is chaos. So you need both to live a good life. And guys, I hope this was useful, and as usual, I will see you in the next one. And if you want more from me, you can check out my X or my newsletter. Both the links are down below.